of which a forensic team, on the other hand, has been deployed to uncover what might have led to the deaths of 3 people who were found in a shallow grave in one yard. The grisly discovery of the bodies was made just yesterday in Olievenhoutbosch, this in Centurion in Pretoria.
Well, it is believed the bodies have been buried there since 2017. 4 people have since been arrested. Let's take you live now to eNCA's Pule Letshwiti, who is following that story. So, Pule, yesterday you started working on this story, and there were so many pieces to this puzzle, and you were making sense of it all and getting word from the officials. 4 people arrested. What more can you tell us at this point about this particular case?
Well, a very good morning to Season. Yes, you're quite indeed. Yesterday we were actually frustrated trying to get comment and to have the South African Police Service officials forthcoming to giving us official responses to what could have transpired here. But you are indeed right to say that just behind me, if you can see, there's a canine truck, police van from the city of Tshwane, of course. And what we also know is that a forensic team has been dispatched to come and come for clues as to what could have been the sinister motive to these gruesome murders, alleged murders that we were told about. But right next to me here, I've got Brigadier Matapelo Peters, who's also going to be giving us a background of what is it that transpired, what kind of information they've received, and of course to give us the confidence and official comments as to what they know so far. Ms. Peters, thank you very much for joining us on eNCA this morning. Can you just give us a background of what is actually going on here?
Well, the context as to why we are here today is that police on Tuesday evening were approached by a 17-year-old suspect, and he confessed to having killed 3 people together with his mother and 2 other suspects. They killed these people and allegedly buried them in the house where we are now. So what has since happened is that police had to do the preliminary investigative processes of taking statements and confirming the confessions, as well as pointing out of the scene. So today our team from the Forensic Science Laboratory are here. They've started digging because we need to establish that indeed there are human remains as per the confessions of the suspects. So this digging is going to take quite some time, and after the digging, if we find that there are bodies, we will also need to do a forensic determination of their identities, and then we expect that the suspects will appear before court tomorrow.
There's been strong allegations from community members who actually went inside the yard before the place was cordoned off, and have also raised concerns about what could have been possible human bones, and there's a video circulating on social media as well. Are you aware of some of these claims?
Well, we have received some complaints from community leaders, but this was only after we've received the confession on Tuesday evening. So at the level of the provincial level, we are looking at this. We are working closely with the local police station to make sure that nothing went wrong from our side in terms of investigating this case.
Right. And in terms of trying to make sure that you get answers, we do know that the suspects have been in custody for, I think they were arrested on Wednesday. And what then happens if there is nothing today, because they've been in the cells for tomorrow would be 48 hours?
Well, a confession is good enough. And like I said, that the preliminary processes of the investigation involves taking statements. So we have those. And those, in consultation with the prosecutors, can sit in court. So we're relying on those. And we will also be looking to see if there are any other witnesses, like you said, that some community members have come forward. So we have called upon some community leaders who have actually been cooperating with the police and giving us valuable information. So we do believe that by 48 hours, we should have a concrete case that can be prosecutable in court.
Rick, maybe just 2 last questions before I throw back to my colleagues in Johannesburg. What happens to those who are currently residing in this yard in terms of temporary accommodation? Do we know what's going to happen to them? And 2, of course, in terms of the charges that these suspects are facing, what are you investigating? And just maybe a time frame of how long do you think this process will take?
You ask so many questions now, but the case that has been opened now is murder. We're not ruling out the possibility of more charges depending on the statements that we get, depending on witnesses' account, as well as what we find in the grave. So more charges could be included, but for now we're sitting with a murder case. And then in terms of accommodation for the people that reside here, what we have done is you can see the cordoning off lines. This is currently a crime scene. Our police are working closely with the residents of the place that to make sure that there's no tampering. We've had our police guarding the scene since Tuesday night, so we are taking steps to make sure that there's no tampering.
Some of them have cited a trauma.
They've cited?
Saying they're traumatized.
Well, indeed, it should be traumatizing, but we are doing our best to make sure that this is done in a meticulous way, procedurally, and that is why we're not even rushing our crime scene experts. We are allowing them to take their time and dig and find what it is they are finding. I believe that we have some community leaders who have been working closely with us. They will be assisting us, even just in terms of things like social distancing now, that they've been working with us to get the community to disperse.
Ms. Peters, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pule.
All right, there you go, Pule Letshwiti. But just the question as to, in terms of time frame, we were told this process could take about 2 days in terms of trying to identify what could be possible human bones that were alleged to have been discovered in this yard yesterday. And the police are adamant that they have to fast-track the process of investigating to ensure that those who are responsible for what could be these gruesome murders are brought to book.
Yeah. And just for clarity's sake, Pule, just yesterday you were telling us more about how that particular, household still had people who had been living in there. So definitely they're directly affected because that particular house is now a crime scene. Have you managed to speak to them or even other community members around what then happens next, including the fact that you did mention yesterday that apparently they would not, or at least some of them, would not allow the police to even conduct their work because they say a cleansing ceremony needs to be done before those remains could be, of course, removed by law enforcement?
Definitely, Dumelo. Just in response to the first question, the community members were saying that, look, they need, even if it's the local municipal officials to come here and try and ensure that they receive temporary accommodation, because, like, living here with the thought of people making allegations that there could be, bodies that were there, and of course citing possible human bones, they're saying that they're living in fear. I mean, there's children living here and families as well who are saying that they need to get temporary accommodation to try and balance their level of sanity. And secondly, to the traditional healers who were here talking to us yesterday, what they were saying is that they want a cleansing ceremony. Of course, now having to see the forensic services from the South African Police Service arriving right now, for them, they feel as though they've been trampled on their foot, and they believe they should be given the right to actually perform what they believe is a ritual before they can be, these bodies can be found in this particular yard.
Pule Letshwiti, thank you so much for that update. Our